I've been playing this game for a very, very long time. When I started, the economy was manageable. The grind was longer than most comparable games, by no means unachievable. There wasn't any kind of defined bias towards one nation or another. Every nation sat mostly equal, yet distinct, with few individual machines as outliers. I think some will remember the German P-47, and its affectionate nickname becoming a problem. Just a few months ago, we all rose up against the snail, because they had chipped away at the economy bit by bit over the last years, resulting in an almost unplayable experience, with some players actually going into negative because of how horrible the SL earning rates were compared to repair cost. Since then, Gaijin gave us a roadmap, a promise to make the game better, a promise to compromise with and even meet some of our demands. They realized for a fleeting moment that we had the power to sink or sail War Thunder, and they were forced to bend to be reasonable, to give us something other than another overpowered, overpriced vehicle. Now we come to another crossroads. Gaijin has shown willful negligence towards a large portion of the player base in the name of profit. Issues with NATO vehicles are numerous, and have been for many years, but we've put up with it for one reason or another. Perhaps we thought Gaijin would fix these issues too, since they were being amicable not but 6 months ago. But then there were the straws that broke the camel's back, spore liners and rank 8 tanks. Never have we seen a more blatant example of bias towards a nation than the introduction of spore liners only once they added a Russian tank that is confirmed to carry one. All of this despite the fact that there are tens of NATO tanks, and even a few Chinese ones, that were known to have them in real life, and have been in game for, in some cases, multiple years. Add to this insult of trying to lie to us about the armor layout of not only the M1 Abrams, as has been in the spotlight lately, but most of the other big NATO tanks as well, such as the Leclerc, Leo 2A5, A7, Ariete Merkava F4M. Players have diligently posted bug reports and change requests to the forums, attempting to rectify the issues with these vehicles, armor or otherwise. Not all were well written, but a great deal had multiple reputable sources and good documentation that supported the need to fix the flaws of these vehicles present in-game, in hopes that Gaijin would extend goodwill back to us after we had established a rapport with them after the last fiasco. These reports, as well as many detailing which vehicles had spore liners, were posted to the forums with fully expectation they would be duly considered and in many cases accepted. To our shock, the forum moderators betrayed us, shooting down report after report, oddly removing only the reports concerning NATO vehicles. The community lashed out, understandably, but they then went too far. Amends were being made and apologies given when all of a sudden, Gaijin themselves betrayed us not once, but 3 times over. They failed to accomplish their roadmap and have delayed features present on it multiple times, with no reason to believe they won't delay them again. They stabbed us in the back by making baseless and poor research claims about vehicles the community had already done the job of researching properly, giving us statements like "we believe" and "we don't think," while referring to known empirical facts regarding tanks like the Abrams, Merkava, and also the Leclerc. Then, they nerfed the Gripen into the ground and refused to extend the BR ceiling to 12.7 for no reason other than money, and at best, sheer ignorance in relation to the Gripen controversy. We made them fix the economy. For the most part, the game can be played entirely for free within a reasonable time frame by anyone of any skill level. We made them fix egregious features in the first roadmap as well. Now, we must make them fix the game and the gameplay itself. For too long, Gaijin have ignored calls for BR decompression, especially now that the player count can so easily support it. For too long, Gaijin have pandered to the Russian tree, giving them experimental and prototype vehicles and equipment that the Russian armed forces have never even seriously considered fielding, and implementing them with wildly unrealistic specifications. For too long, Gaijin have ignored reports on the forums about poorly implemented or outright incorrectly represented NATO vehicles, aircraft, and tanks. And for too long, we've wallowed in the same game modes, the same bad map design, the same horrible excuses for not making the necessary changes. I say it's time for another revolt. I say it's time to make them listen again, to make them realize once more who actually controls the future of this game. Make them remember who this game is for. I call anyone reading this to take down and repost or post a new negative review of the game on Steam and everywhere else you can. By the way, I do not endorse this. I do not call you to boycott the game, for that will do nothing unless we all do it. I do call you to make your voice heard anywhere Gaijin still allows it, and I call you to not give Gaijin a cent of your hard-earned money until they have regained our trust. When that happens, is up to you. Do not sit idly, do not shrug, and say, there is nothing I can do. Anything you do helps, even doing nothing. If you do wish to boycott War Thunder, we are not alone. We are hundreds of thousands, even millions, and we will make them fix our beloved game once and for all. The first protest was caused by economy issues and the complete lack of care by Gaijin regarding the topic. Nowadays, it feels Gaijin still doesn't care about player input, instead fulfilling Monkey's poor wishes every once in a while to say they're doing something. We need to remind them not to take their revenue and player base for granted, and that they need to listen to us for advice rather than following profit alone. For the players, for the game, be it boycotting whatever form it takes, we need to act. Let's unite! What I've been reading from Reddit, Steam posts and others is each nation main, besides one, seems unrealistically weak. From the Abrams missing their realistic armor spall, the Macavers missing their spall, Challengers and Leopards being misrepresented, Leclercs and so on, fill in your own blank. Instead of us internally fighting with each other, going, no, you didn't get shafted, I did. Let's instead unite. Gaijin hopes that we'd all be too focused to argue with each other than actually do something that hurts their bottom line. Similar to when Russia invaded Ukraine, they hoped that infighting in NATO would paralyze them into not doing anything. Instead, NATO banded together, and to this day are still more united against Russia. Let's borrow that idea. Every single main of every nation needs to stand united with their issues, from Israeli mains all the way to American mains. Let's hurt them where it hurts. They've claimed that they deserve the labor of love from Steam, yet half-baked everything the community actually asked for, while denying other parts. Let's show them they're wrong. Let's stand united as a player base with our concerns and issues, and present them to Gaijin, and then stand firm and not budge until either our concerns are met, or War Thunder doesn't exist anymore. Fixing a few NATO vehicles is not a solution to the game's issues. The main problem of War Thunder in its entirety, and the reason why this community had to be created in the first place, was the heavy opinion and narrative control on the main War Thunder Reddit sub, the Steam discussions, and especially the forums. It is unoriginal, dirty place used by Gaijin to create an environment on all these channels where they can filter out the part of the player base that would complain about obvious Russian bias, bad and shady business practices, and abuse of mod tools such as bans, topics, closure, and deletion, etc. It's used by many smaller game devs that aren't honest and want to control the narrative over their games. The biggest example would be the part of the player base of the failed game the day before, which has believed right till the very end that it's a real playable game as good as the trailers made it out to be. Another example, Starfield. Bethesda keeps claiming the game is great, despite the overall opinion of it being pretty boring and just worse in No Man's Sky. They're gaslighting the players, and they have their own group of players also supporting every stupid decision Bethesda makes. But it gets so much attention, the gaming community would stone them to death if they started banning people for bug reports. It's a commonplace practice in the industry, commonly used by the likes of Nexon, Electronic Arts, or Ubisoft at a much larger scale than Gaijin. That's exactly the problem. The game isn't that popular for it to be visible. Smaller bloggers, magazines, content creators may report on it, not enough to damage them. The point of all this complaining about Gaijin should be transparency. If they keep filtering people out, banning them, closing their posts, and making them shut up and just play, bad changes and stupid business options will keep happening, because they have enough bootlickers on their official and unofficial channels, and even in this community, that will defend them until death, that they don't need to raise a finger. They're not implementing the promised changes, and they're pushing Russian buyers, because Steam has deleted most of the reviews from the review volume to Gaijin's favor, and the game is rated positively on Steam. That's the only thing they care about. Very rarely someone might try to free-to-play title on Steam if it has mixed reviews. And I want to mention one last thing that should be clear to everybody. Gaijin is, was, and will be a Russian company. The CEO is a Russian billionaire. The upper management is Russian, and the only reason they're officially based in Orban's Hungary is because it allows them to dodge any sanctions that could arise from what Russia is doing. Previously, they were based out of Cyprus, most likely to dodge taxes. If you claim otherwise, then you are just gullible, and you just don't deserve to play a better game than War Thunder in its current state, and I hope you waste your entire paycheck in this slot machine. Dear War Thunder pilots, tankers, and sailors, it's time for us, as a united community, to address the ongoing issues with the Abrams, Challenger 2, Leclerc, and Ariete regarding their armor and specifications. Many of us have expressed our concerns, alas the snail keeps ignoring our calls. Gaijin Entertainment recent updates have left some of the most played vehicles in a state that doesn't align with historical accuracy or balanced gameplay. The Abrams, Challenger 2, Leclerc, and Ariete deserve the attention and respect to befit their real